Good morning, Digit fam. It's very nice to go traveling, but it's oh so much nicer to come home. And it's confession time. I missed our talks. Sam did a great job, and mad props to him for holding down the fort for me, but vacation is over, as is my 15.5-hour car trip, so it's time to get back to some serious tech. And speaking of which, over the next few days, I'll be talking to you about some of the more interesting tech I came across on my travels. But for now, it is June 20th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. Apple and Best Buy have slid into each other's DMs and are hooking up in some sexy ways. Best Buy is now an authorized repair center for Apple products, and this is kind of a big deal for a few reasons. First of all, Apple stores are kind of few and far between. And second of all, while the experience of an Apple Store repair is fairly painless, that painlessness only starts once you actually get the opportunity to speak to a person at an Apple Store. On a Saturday afternoon, the Apple Store is such a freaking cattle call it looks like a stock market trade floor filled with kindergartners. But seriously, it's not pretty. So now, if you don't live in a market with an Apple Store, but you do have a Best Buy, your problems are mostly solved. Leave it to Apple to make Best Buy stores relevant again. Seriously, I haven't seen a person wearing a blue polo and a yellow name tag in almost a decade. There are almost 7,600 stores across the United States, emphasis on the United States, we'll get to that later. Even small towns have Best Buys, and since nobody wants to mail their phone to Apple for 7 days to get a screen fixed, this is good news for small town iPhone people. And of course, as the newsletter points out, Samsung also has authorized Galaxy repairs at Best Buys as well, so this isn't new, but it's certainly more convenient for Apple users, especially considering Apple's checkered past of bricking iPhones that are repaired by non-authorized vendors. I'm not positive that we've reported this on the Digit Daily specifically, but Apple's history with non-authorized repairs certainly does extend back way before your day got more awesome with an email in your inbox or a podcast in your ear holes. Plus, it's arguably a better idea to go with authorized repair centers whenever possible. And of course, it should also be mentioned that this really only helps United States-based iPhone owners. Folks in foreign countries still have to deal with the Apple Store rat race, mail-order repairs, or unauthorized repair vendors. USA! USA! Yeah, that felt kind of gross. So no, this is not the biggest Apple news of the year, far from it, but it's another layer of convenience that Apple is heaping onto its US customers. Now we all just have to remember where the hell a Best Buy is around us. I think there's one in Woodfield Mall. Of course, there's also an Apple Store there too, so that problem's solved. But enough about broken phones. Let's head into the Roundup! According to the newsletter, the life of a Facebook moderator is, quote, very, very grim, which, considering this in-depth report from The Verge, is putting it rather mildly. Imagine the worst human being you can imagine. Now make that human 100 times worse. Then give him, I'm assuming it's a him because we're talking about horrible people, a video camera and unfettered access to do whatever he wants. Now, force another human being to watch 200 of those videos a day and pay that other person $15 an hour to watch them. Just the fact that these people don't regularly chew on the ends of shotgun barrels make them superheroes by any measure. Folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. There are some horrible, terrible, disgusting people out there, and Facebook gives them a platform to be horrible, terrible, and disgusting for anyone to see. Then, Facebook hires contractors, who then hire other contractors, to try and moderate this horrible, terrible, disgusting content. If this sounds very, very grim to you, it's not. And to be fair, the newsletter does describe this also as hellish. But it's not very, very grim, and it's not hellish. It's actually much, 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 much worse. And when those horrible, terrible, disgusting people aren't cutting off the faces of kittens on Facebook videos, they're commenting on YouTube videos. I mean, they probably are. One of the worst things that you can do is read the comments of a YouTube video. Reviews of podcasts, on the other hand, are quite helpful. Wink, wink, leave a review, wink. So YouTube is experimenting with a new button that would allow you to see the comments in the Android app rather than having to scroll down past the other recommended videos. I mean, putting aside the fact that the current need to scroll down past recommended videos is terrible to begin with, and this might actually help that, this will also be handy for masochists who actually want to read that horrible, terrible, disgusting written trash. Smartphones hit a bit of a plateau for some time there, right around the time of the Nexus 5 or so. Since then, it's been rectangle after rectangle, all offering basically the same stuff as everyone else. But now, we're starting to see pop-up cameras, flipping cameras, folding phones, and more. It's really exciting to be a smartphone fan these days. Plus, and this is important, we're starting to see stupid and bad phones too. And this is important because unless you make bad phones, you really never know what their good phones are. So bring them on, OEMs. We're ready for your dumb ideas at what makes smartphones even better. A Florida city has paid ransomware hackers $600,000 in ransom to recover its data. City networks became infected when an employee, presumably a fired employee, clicked on an email attachment and... Wait a minute, people still click on email attachments? Well, that's weird. Anyway, their network got infected and everything got all messed up, including 911 operators' abilities to log their calls, which is kind of a problem. Emergency response times were not affected, thank goodness, but the ability to add call details to the database went away. Security consultants recommended the city pay the ransom and then upgrade their workstations and tell employees never to open the attachments ever. Seriously, I thought we all learned this back in like the 90s. Anthony Lewandowski is a fan of driverless cars. Now, on this podcast, I have said several times that I want to visit Phoenix and ride in a Waymo taxi, but I have not started a religion worshiping an AI god. Anthony has. But now he's pulling back on the driverless car idea and instead developing features that make human driving safer, but still human, which is a bit of a reversal for him. Incidentally, the car my wife and I rented for our New Orleans road trip had some automated safety features which I'll talk more about tomorrow. But for now I'll tell you, they're really cool, and also not nearly enough to replace a person behind the wheel. And finally, Avengers Endgame looks to fall just short of Avatar's world record profit of $100 gajillion or whatever it is. So Disney has politely conceded the title to its other property, by the way. Avatar is owned by Disney as well. And no, Disney wants that record. Again, so it's going to re-release Endgame with some bonus footage, plus a couple of end credits goodies, and I've already seen the movie. Nice move, Marvel. Now, to be fair, I had been toying with the idea of going for a second viewing, so this might just seal the deal. But overall, I'm not generally happy with movie studios who want to charge you again and again by adding in a few seconds of extra footage for a second run at $15 a pop. But anyway, fine, Marvel, here's my money. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about digitdailypod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.